All right, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. All right, thank you, Sergeant Ingram. All right, members of the jury, good morning. All right, y'all sound good. You ready to get started? Yes. Okay, all right, without further delay, Mr. Steele, you ready to make your opening statement, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, then go ahead.
Happy holiday season to everyone.
Thank you.
Jeffery Williams was born into an environment, a community, a society that was filled with depression, despair, hopelessness, and helplessness. He was born and raised in the Jonesboro South housing projects. That's here in southeast Atlanta. It's a very small 3-bedroom apartment. He lived with his 4 brothers in one of the small bedrooms. His 6 sisters lived in the other small bedroom, and his mother lived in her small bedroom. In the wintertime, it was freezing. In the summertime, it was scorching, because there was not that much money to go around to pay for utilities. The refrigerator and the cabinets hardly ever had any healthy food, and sometimes no food at all. In order to have the appearance of being able to wear different clothing, Jeffery would share clothing with his brothers and sisters, neighbors, and friends in the community. And although the clothing was oftentimes dirty, at least it gave the appearance that he can have a different look from the day before. When Jeffery would exit into the community, most homes' windows were boarded up. There were burglar bars on every entrance. Litter. It was not uncommon to find shell casings and human blood remains from the shootings that occurred. There was glass on the ground from the broken window of the cars. The cars are gone. In this environment of severe poverty, severe crime, Jeffery developed 2 deep, embedded beliefs about our criminal justice system. The first one is that it is not justice. Our criminal justice system was not just, at least for people that he saw. Jeffrey would see over and over again people in the neighborhood who were known to be the liars. These are the people that would lie to their kids, lie to their mothers, lie to their brothers and sisters, and then somehow those people would be used by prosecutors, allowed to come before judges. And they would have reduced charges, reduced prison sentences, reduced probationary sentences, no charges at all, on their oath that they come in the courtroom to tell the God's honest truth.
Your Honor,
You have an objection, ma'am?
I have an objection.
What's your basis?
Your Honor, I'd rather approach and not speak it out loud in front of the jury. It will take 1 second.
All right.
Thank you.
If I put your listening device on, please. Whoever's got their mic kind of really loud, turn it down. Okay? All right, Lucille, go ahead.
Jeffrey learned that these liars, these snitches, these rats, they would come into the courtroom, take a witness stand to tell the God's honest truth. They were still the same liars. And they would testify against people accused of crimes. Jeffrey thinks that the entire justice system is corrupt. It should be blown up. And everybody who feeds into that are awful people, stealing lives away from others. The next abiding belief that Jeffrey had growing up is his despise for the police. He would see people walking on the streets. This could be an adult, teenager, a child. Wearing their backpacks, holding a football, bouncing a basketball, and the police just swarm in. They're aggressive. They search the backpack. They throw the football over the house. They kick the basketball down the road. It got to the point when people saw the police coming, they just ran. It's different experiences in different parts of America. It's different experiences in different parts of Atlanta. Jeffrey would be driving with his sister, youngest sister Dora. They're about a year apart. Dora is younger than Jeffrey. She's the youngest of 11 children of Jeffrey's mother. Jeffrey's the second youngest. He's the youngest young man. Those two, Dora and Jeffrey, have the same father. None of the other 11 children of Jeffrey's mother share the same father. And Dora and Jeffrey would be driven, get pizza, by their dad, and constantly. The car would be stopped for a window tint violation, a failure to maintain a lane, failure to use a turn signal, illegal left turn. His father would be handcuffed and sat on the curb, Jeffrey and Dora on the other side of the curb, the police rummaging through the car, saying, if we find anything, these kids are going to DFACS custody. That's how he grew up. But what really solidified Jeffrey's distrust for the police happened 3 days before his 9-year-old birthday. Jeffrey's born on August 16th of 1991. We are now August 13th of 2000. Jeffrey's older brother, they called him Beanie. He was 20 years of age, 11 years older than Jeffrey. He's shot in the chest. He collapses outside, not far from Jeffrey's apartment. The neighborhood comes out. Jeffrey and his family come out. They're praying over Beanie. It's going to be okay. There's help on the way. 911 was called. And what seemed forever, when the police finally did arrive, they didn't go immediately to Beanie. They had to push back the crowd. Jeffrey's mother was hysterical. She was screaming for her child to survive. The police handcuffed Jeffrey's mother, put her on the ground. And when they finally went to Beanie, put a sheet over his face, Beanie was dead to the police, even though his chest was still going up and down, he was still breathing. The Jonesboro South housing projects were closed by the city of Atlanta in the year 2007. Jeffrey's now 16 years of age. His family was displaced. They were scattered. Most of them, not all of them, reunited and were now living in the Cleveland Avenue area. Jeffrey was not educated in his home about go to university, work as a flight attendant for Delta. Somebody would loan you money so you could start a business. Jeffery believed that the only two ways he can break the generational hopelessness and despair for his family, himself, and he wanted to break it for as many people as he could who were in this struggle, was to be a professional athlete or an accomplished musical artist. Jeffery chose the latter. And from that day forward, every week, every month, every year, to this day, Jeffery practices to make himself a better musical artist. In Jeffery's neighborhood, rap, it's a subset of hip-hop. Gangster rap is a subset of rap. That was the most popular music at that time. So Jeffery sought to find out how can he accomplish his mission to be a successful rapper. So he had the internet. They were poor, but they had phones with the internet. So he would Google and look up and get on social media every accomplished rap artist and see what made them special. And Jeffery would listen to the beat after beat after beat. These are billions of musical chords that he listened to. And he tried and he forced himself to be able to speak fast within the beat and rhyme words. Jeffery can't sit there and write out the words. He doesn't spell well. But he can listen and learn and look up what words mean, or just make up words to put them into the beat. And Jeffery studied two rap artists particularly. He idolized a gentleman named Dwayne Carter. His performing name is Little Wayne. Jeffery also idolized Tupac. And Jeffery looked at what is Little Wayne doing that's making him so successful, because Little Wayne is right before Jeffery. He is born on September 27th of 1982. He's 9 years older than Jeffery. And Little Wayne, by the time that Jeffery came along, has exploded. He is a superstar. And Little Wayne changed the culture. It was more than just the sound of the music. Now, Jeffery studied Little Wayne so much, he sounded like Little Wayne. You're going to hear witness after witness that Jeffery sounded just like Little Wayne. But Jeffery realized that Little Wayne had a following, a fan base, and people who dressed like Little Wayne. It used to be that rappers wore baggy pants, big uniforms from teams. Little Wayne changed it. He wore proper fitting pants. Little Wayne tattooed his face. He's the first one. Jeffery has tattoos on his face. Jeffery changed the clothing. He took what Little Wayne did, and Jeffery wore tight fitting pants. He's the first. He did that because when he would take his ill-fitting clothing from his sisters, they were tight jeans. Jeffery wore tight necklaces. He wore dresses. he realized in order to become successful and to accomplish his mission of breaking those bonds, he had to capture people's experiences and make it interesting, both musically and creating a brand. He's advertising. Jeffrey was called Little Jeff. His father is Jeffery Williams Sr. He was called Big Jeff. But Jeffrey is sounding like Lil Wayne. He's trying to emulate Lil Wayne on social media. To call himself Little Jeff and Lil Wayne, he thought that that doesn't sound too good. That's a bridge too far. So Jeffrey wanted to have a performing name. So he looked to Tupac. You will learn that in 1983, the incomparable talent Michael Jackson released a song. It went around the globe. P.Y.T. Pretty Young Thing. About 13 years later, Tupac is featured on a song with Smooth. And that song is P.Y.T. Playa, P-L-A-Y-A, Young Thugs. And on that song there's a repeat of words. And this really connected with Jeffrey. It's a black man that not too many understand. That's what Jeffrey felt about people with nice color skin. Jeffrey had interest in women, but he never considered himself a player. A player to Jeffrey was somebody who had the girls kind of coming at them at all times. Jeffrey wasn't like that. Jeffrey was shy. He was really tall and really skinny. He was malnourished. His teeth were rotten. There was no money to go to a dentist. And all the sugar from the candy that he ate to keep substance in his body rotted his teeth. So Jeffrey would speak by covering his teeth with his lips, or often speak like this, with his hand or his arm over his teeth, because he had low self-esteem. He was made fun of and bullied growing up. So he got rid of the player. That was not going to work for him. But he kept the young thugs. He got rid of the S, and he became a performer, young thug. And from that day forward, he insisted everybody call him Young Thug. On every type of tweet, Facebook, social media of any kind, on any records, he refers to himself as Young Thug. And that fit in to the appearance of the gangster rap, because most people think about a thug as a criminal. But to Jeffrey, thug had a different meaning. Now, some of you read books about Tupac and what it meant to be thug life. Thug life, the hate you give little infants, Fs, everyone. Meaning discrimination and racism hurts all of us. We teach that to our kids. That was not what thug meant to Jeffrey. Thug meant and means to Jeffrey something very personal. It was his pact that if he could ever make it as a musical artist and help his family, himself, and as many others out of this endless cycle of hopelessness, he would be truly humble under God. That's what thug means. Jeffery is talented. He worked so hard, he'd outwork everyone. He would stay up all night after night trying to rhyme words, put him to beats. When he had time and the opportunity to go into the studio, he wouldn't leave. He is a prolific creator of music. The neighborhood realized his talent. He was the best rapper in the neighborhood. So Jeffery was invited to the underage clubs to perform. And he would be the introductory entertainer. He would be able to perform 5 or 10 minutes, $50, get paid $100 sometimes. He's about 17 years old, 2008, 2009. When Jeffery would leave the establishment, he'd get robbed. And the money was gone. And that money may not be a lot of money for some of you in 2008 or 9, but to Jeffery, it was food. It was meals for him and his family. The next time Jeffery went for an event, he did not get armed robbed. There was a man in the community who was a man of influence in the community. He was allegedly the leader of Raise on Cleveland, the supposed gang, rock crew. He was supposedly the leader of the Bloods in that area, in Cleveland Avenue. His name is Quentin Porter. Goes by Boo or Big Boo. And when Jeffery comes to make the performance, he's no longer there for 5 or 10 minutes. He is the lead performer. He's going to go last. As the time went on, the neighborhood got behind Jeffery. The rock crew, the Bloods, the whole neighborhood. They would put up signs on the post, come out tomorrow night. Watch our own young thug perform at this establishment. The place is sold out now. This is no longer 25, 35 people. There are hundreds of people in the club. There are hundreds of people in the parking lot trying to get into the club. There are hundreds of people backing up in the streets, all to see Young Thug. The people who own these establishments are making money. They are attracting customers. Word gets out. Jeffrey's no longer just performing in the area that he grew up in the poverty-stricken area. He's now in Atlanta, South Georgia, Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee. He is performing all of the time. By 2011, Jeffery released his first album. It's entitled, I Came From Nothing. And yes, he speaks about killing 12 and people being shot and drugs and drive-by shootings. This is the environment that he grew up in. These are the people he knew. These are the stories he knew. These are the words that he rhymed. This isn't a ballad or a book. These are phrases in a song. And whatever the listener takes from it, you will learn that's what the song means. This is art. This is freedom of speech in America. As the years go on, 2013, 2014, Jeffrey's now 22, 23. It's unbelievable. He has 3 hit songs that are going around the world. Stoner, Danny Glover, and Lifestyle. He is making music videos professionally. He is working with some of the biggest artists in hip-hop. It worked. It's unbelievable. He is not running this criminal street gang in Cleveland Avenue area of Cleveland to gain property, money, or power. Jeffery Williams did it on will and hard work and determination without anybody's help, except the people from that area that he will not turn his back on. By 2014, to today, you will learn. Jeffery Williams has been nominated and won and recognized MTV, United Kingdom, American Soul Train Music Awards. He is a Grammy Award winner. XXL Awards, BET Awards, Billboard Music Awards. Every single year since 2014, that's what he has accomplished. He is not sitting there telling people to kill people. He doesn't need their money. Jeffrey's worth tens of millions of dollars. Jeffery has been a sponsor for Puma, Calvin Klein. He has been featured on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, GQ magazine, XXL magazine, Paper magazine, Complex magazine, Variety Interview magazine. He is at the top of his craft. Jeffery is so talented in music, he doesn't only do gangster rap. He does rap, gangster rap. He has hits in country music, popular music or pop music, Latin music, Afro, beats. He's been featured on NPR, Tiny Desk. He's played numerous times on Saturday Night Live, Jimmy Fallon Show. Jeffery has performed in almost every continent on the earth. He's performed in front of more than 300,000 people that come for him. His social media feed has more than 10 million followers. He's not the creator. He's trying to pull people out of poverty. Jeffery has performed with the likes of Rihanna, Ed Sheeran, Sir Elton John, Drake. Everybody in music. And Jeffrey didn't only stay in music. He did fashion. He's an icon in fashion. He has been to Paris, to Spain, all over Europe, at the fashion shows. He has his own clothing lines. People are walking around the earth today with Jeffrey's picture tattooed on their calves, on their shoulders. They have his lyrics on their bodies. YSL, when Jeffrey was coming up and making it, Little Wayne had and repped, talked about Cash Money Records. That's his label. Jeffrey's friends in Cleveland Avenue, they called themselves YSL. Because on the pants, the tight-fitting pants, the women's pants that they're wearing, it says YSL, Yves Saint Laurent. That's where that comes from. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeffrey stands before you, charged with some of the most serious crimes in the state of Georgia. I'd like to go through with you each and every crime that he's charged with in the indictment. The indictment's thick. You're going to have it. At the end of the case, the Honorable Judge Granville will give it to you. You should read it. It's the charging document. It is critical in the case. There are many counts. Most of them Jeffrey's not charged with. But everybody, there were 28 people who the prosecution, through the grand jury, indicted together. They're all in count one. That's why this is a joint trial, because everyone's in count one. That was the decision of the prosecutors. You will learn that Jeffrey doesn't even know most of the people in this indictment. He doesn't know them. They all know him because everybody in that area knows Jeffery Williams. He is known as the Michael Jordan of that area. And he didn't get out and stay away. He tries to come back and give people hope because he knows what it is to be depressed, hungry, and have nothing going for you. The first count is a RICO conspiracy. And the supposed objective that the prosecution charged is that Jeffrey, along with others, had a meeting of the mind. They had an agreement. They have an agenda together. And that they wanted to preserve and protect and enhance the reputation, the power, the territory of YSL. That's the allegation. Jeffrey hasn't lived in the Cleveland Avenue area in a decade, more. He has homes from Los Angeles to Atlanta. But they charge him with, he wants the reputation, power, territory of the enterprise by obtaining money, weapons, or other property. Jeffrey needs no money from somebody on robbing someone of a car or doing a $30 drug deal or even $100 million drug. He's got his own source of legitimate income. It's a RICO conspiracy, there are then what's called overt acts. The judge will charge you on the law. But there are 191 overt acts. And those are separate instances that the prosecution said they're going to prove. Most of them don't include Jeffrey. But the ones that do, I'd like to go through with you. And I've broken it up into 3 categories because an overt act can be a crime. It doesn't have to be a crime, so I then wrote chats, social media, any type of statement, because the prosecution has been investigating Jeffery for a decade. They have all of his personal chats. You think you're talking to somebody on Facebook in a personal chat? They have all of his thoughts. They put these in the indictment. The 3rd category are lyrics. So I'd like to go through them with you. First is going to be supposed crimes, and these are the overt acts that you will see that involve Jeffery. As you can see, Jeffery has never been convicted of a crime. He stands before you. He's not a convicted felon. He can vote, he can carry a gun, he can be on a jury. But now, these acts are embedded in the indictment. So let's start with the first one. So this is September 9th of 2013. Jeffery just turned the age of 22. And he's driving in a car, and he gets stopped, of course, for failure to maintain a lane. And the police officer comes up to the car, and Jeffery doesn't have a license. Doesn't have a valid driver's license. So now he's under arrest. Police officer says he sees pills, Xanax pills, 7 of them, on the console. Police officer searches the car, and underneath the front passenger seat, there's no passenger, is a gun. That weapon comes back stolen from Andrew and Ann Phillips months before. There's no evidence that Jeffrey's involved in that burglary of the Phillips home. There's no evidence Jeffery ever touched that gun. You're not going to hear any type of DNA, fingerprints. In fact, Jeffery says, that's not my gun. The police officer wants to know, whose gun is it? Jeffrey's not talking to police. So Jeffery gets arrested. That case got dismissed. But 10 years ago now, it's an overt act for you to consider. You will learn that this stop was video recorded and audio recorded. But the City of Atlanta Police Department, the District Attorney's Office of Fulton County, I demanded that. They can't find it. So you're going to rely on a report of an officer who doesn't remember this incident. That's it. That's an act in furtherance of a conspiracy. That's the entirety of it, that first overt act. The next one. This is overt act 5 through 7. You may notice that Jeffrey's not even alleged to be in this overt act, but now you're going to hear Jeffrey's supposed involvement. This is 2 days later. It's September 11th, an infamous day in America. It's 2013. Jeffery was arrested, if you remember, for the last overt act, September 9th, 2013. He made bond. He just got out. Walter Murphy, he grew up with Jeffery. He's one of the people that would exchange dirty clothing with Jeffery. You will learn that they would have no money between them. One of them would come across $1. They would split the food that they could buy with that $1 together. Walter Murphy is with a person named Adrian Bean and Fred Plethora. And there is an armed robbery of Mr. Dotson. Gunfire went out. police are always in this area. So when the gunfire was heard, police respond immediately. Adrian Bean is driving the car. This is a car that he borrowed from a friend. This has nothing to do with Jeffrey. So he commits a crime in someone else's car. Adrian Bean almost kills a police officer, almost runs him over, driving so recklessly, high rate of speed, goes across a neighbor's lawn, over an embankment. The car is now airborne. It goes over, you'll see pictures, goes over a parked police car in a parking lot and slams into the side of a laundromat. The car crashes. Mr. Plethro is shot. Police are firing at the car. Mr. Murphy is shot. Mr. Bean runs away. He's captured. Mr. Bean, you will learn, is told, hey, we believe there was a fourth person in that car. If you make that young thug, we'll go lenient on him. Adrian Bean is in the Fulton County Jail talking with his wife. He said, I should have ran the way Thug ran. He got away. That's recorded anytime an inmate, a person is incarcerated, in a jail. Most of the time, if they're speaking with a pastor, a lawyer, their calls are being recorded. You will learn that Mr. Bean also stated on a recorded call, they gave us a story to tell. Mr. Bean is interviewed 4 days later, September 17, 2013, by Detective Quinn, City of Atlanta Police Department. Detective Quinn it's a big case because police officers are discharging their weapon. People are getting shot. Detective Quinn interviews Adrian Bean. And Adrian Bean tells him, they talk about this recording. Adrian Bean tells him, I lied to my wife. Everything on those recordings are not true. Jeffrey was never arrested for this. He was never charged for this. He was never prosecuted for this. He's not even in our indictment on Overt Act 5, 6, or 7. But now, we're going to hear from Mr. Bean. That's it for the next one. Somehow that furthered this conspiracy. Jeffrey was not even charged. Next overt act is January 7th of 2015. Now, this is a larger part of our case probably. God forbid Donovan Thomas is going to be killed 3 days later. It's going to be January 10th of 2015. And in order to understand this rental car, and there's nothing clearly wrong with renting a car, but in order to understand this rental car and then 3 days later the killing of Donovan Thomas, you have to understand some background. So we're shortly before New Year's of 2015. And there's a man named Kenneth Copeland. He goes by Woody. And Kenneth Copeland is not friends with Jeffery Williams. He uses Jeffery Williams, just like a lot of people. Because Kenneth Copeland wants to be famous and have money. So he leeches on to Jeffery Williams, about a year before that. Well, Kenneth Copeland is a criminal. He is a notorious criminal. In fact, you will learn that he was ranked one of the 10 most violent people in Georgia by the federal prosecutor here in Atlanta. That is Kenneth Copeland. Kenneth Copeland breaks into cars. He steals the property they're in. Donovan Thomas is the head of a gang called IF, Inglewood Family. Donovan Thomas and Jeffrey are friends. Jeffrey's friends with everybody. It promotes him. And Jeffrey tries to help other people at the same time. Kenneth Copeland breaks into Donovan Thomas's car. And he takes his expensive chain, Donovan Thomas's wallet, his driver's license, and Donovan Thomas's cellular telephone. Donovan Thomas calls his cellular telephone. Kenneth Copeland answers the call on Donovan Thomas's phone. Kenneth Copeland changes his voice, tries to disguise his voice, but Donovan Thomas knows it's Kenneth Copeland. Donovan Thomas has people on the street. And he tells Kenneth Copeland, "You have my stuff. I'm coming to get it back." And Kenneth Copeland says, "Yeah, I'm glad you called me. Because one of my partners had your stuff. I realized it was yours, so I got it for you for safekeeping. No problem." When Donovan Thomas meets with Kenneth Copeland, he doesn't come alone. He comes with 2 other people, and they display guns. Kenneth Copeland's not alone. He's with his brother. They're really not related, but they call themselves brothers. His name is Demekian Garlington. Demekian Garlington and Kenneth Copeland are like this. They are inseparable. Demekian Garlington and Kenneth Copeland are together. When Donovan Thomas comes, he makes it known that Kenneth Copeland is on the menu. Meaning Kenneth Copeland is going to be hurt. He just stole Donovan Thomas's property. It is now January 6th. It's really January 5th. It's a Monday night going into Tuesday morning, January 6th of 2010. It's going to be the day before this first rental car. And Kenneth Copeland is with a lot of people. Jeffrey's there. Jeffrey was performing on stage at Club Crucial. Monday night was Club Crucial night. That's where they all went. And Kenneth Copeland goes in the back, in the kitchen area, and he's met there by a man named Kelvin Watts. He goes by Shell Kel, and who's a half-brother of Donovan Thomas, and other people who are affiliated with Donovan Thomas, and Kenneth Copeland gets beaten. He has bumps on his head, his eye is injured, he's being kicked. No one does that to Kenneth Copeland. Kenneth Copeland's the person who puts the bumps on the head, injures the person, kicks him. Kenneth Copeland's mad. And you will learn that Kenneth Copeland then went on a mission. He went to every place that he knew that Donovan Thomas or one of his brothers or friends were, or family members, and he would shoot at them with his weapon. On the 7th day of January 2015, Kenneth Copeland told Jeffrey, "I'm going to be with my child, just born. The mother of my child, her name is Miss Quarterman. And I don't want to be driving around in the typical car I drive around in, Dodge Charger. Can I use one of your rental cars?" Jeffrey does this for everybody. People need to take someone to a doctor. People want to go out of the state. They don't have transportation. He rents cars all the time. Jeffrey says, "Yeah, there's a rental car here. It's a Corvette." Kenneth Copeland says, "That's a two-seater. My child has a baby seat. That's too small." Jeffrey rents a car at the Atlanta airport on the evening of January 7, 2015, along with Kenneth Copeland. After they drop off the Corvette, the same location. This rental car is in Jeffrey's name. When they leave the rental car location, Kenneth Copeland wants to pick up his brother, Demika in Garlington. And after Jeffrey is dropped off, Jeffrey does not see that Infiniti vehicle until after the killing of Donovan Thomas. That Infiniti vehicle, that rental car, is in the possession, the control of Kenneth Copeland that whole time. The 8th of January, Kenneth Copeland is shooting at Donovan Thomas and his friends, associates. He's using this Infiniti vehicle, he's using another vehicle. He is on a spree. It's now January 10th of 2015. There's a New England Patriot, Baltimore Raven playoff football game. It's Saturday evening. Donovan Thomas is watching the game from inside a barbershop with a lot of other people, his friends. At approximately 7:22 that evening, of Saturday, January 10th, 2015, Donovan Thomas is outside of that barbershop. His Chevrolet Tahoe is parked in that parking lot. Car drives by. You'll see a video, a surveillance video from the stores. You'll see sparks, it's gunfire. Donovan Thomas is struck fatally. The EMTs try to save him. He's taken to Grady Hospital, surgery after surgery, and he leaves us. 2 other people were shot as well, but their injuries were not fatal. Later that day, that evening, Jeffrey, you will learn, is in negotiations with his record label. They want to give Jeffrey over $800,000 up front. And the contract's worth millions to produce these records. That's what Jeffrey was working on. He was working on a music video. No one's going to say that Jeffrey is at that scene of the shooting. But later, Kenneth Copeland, when he's arrested, He tells the police lie after lie after lie after lie. Ken Copeland says Jeffery Williams was involved in that shooting. Although Ken Copeland said, I don't know anything about it, I'm just telling you what I heard. Kenneth Copeland's one of those liars in the neighborhood that everyone knows, that becomes a witness, swears to tell God's honest truth. You will learn that after the shooting of Donovan Thomas, his associates did not take that well. Immediately, word on the street is that Kenneth Copeland, Woody, is responsible. Kenneth Copeland, it's now after 10 p.m., it's hours after shooting. He's then at Jeffrey's home, along with a lot of people. They're all scared they're going to be killed. They're all telling, I had nothing to do with it. Jeffrey, you will learn, he's friends with Donovan Thomas. Jeffrey puts Donovan Thomas in his music videos. Donovan Thomas invited Jeffrey just recently to come into his neighborhood to shoot a music video with him in it. Jeffrey's not happy. He is sad. Kenneth Copeland says, the police are calling Kenneth Copeland. The police are right on him. You will learn, and it's on recording, that Kenneth Copeland goes into the police station later that morning, so it's a very early morning hours, January 11th of 2015, and he's with Detective Thorpe. Detective Thorpe is recording this. And Kenneth Copeland says, yeah, I got your call. I was at Jeffery Williams' house, Thug's house. Everyone knows Jeff. And I told him that the police won't talk to him. And Jeffrey said, if you had nothing to do with this, you should go talk to the police. That's what Jeffrey said. Detective Thorpe asked Kenneth Copeland, this is hours after the killing. Do you have anything to do with a rental car, an Infinity rental car? Were you in an accident in an Infinity rental car? And Kenneth Copeland says, no. He's just a liar. Kenneth Copeland tells Detective Thorpe, earlier today, during the time of the killing, I was at the Green Store. The Green Store is like a grocery store. It's green in color. It's called the Green Store. It's not far from where Donovan Thomas was got killed. You will learn that there's video surveillance inside and outside of the Green Store. Supposedly, Detective Thorpe, who is a qualified law enforcement officer, he's been doing this forever. I'm being told that, no, we never got the video of the Green Store to support the supposed alibi of Kenneth Copeland. No one corroborates Kenneth Copeland and where he was. You will learn that Kenneth Copeland eventually says, it's now June of 2015, gets rearrested. He doesn't want to be in jail. He speaks with the police. He's now with Detective Dennis, Detective